this guy was like, we hired an Indian development company. We've been working with them for a year. We have nothing to show. The launch date was Monday.
What if I told you that a project a professional development team couldn't finish in an entire year was solved in just 48 hours for only $300? I connected with Jesus Vargas. He's the founder of a powerhouse low-code agency. But every leader has a beginning. In this first part of our conversation, Jesus shares the wild story of his very first client, a product owner who was at his wit's end after a year of zero results. And we're talking about that aha moment where Jesus realized that the right tools, like a Google Sheet and Glide, you don't need a whole team, you just need a weekend. So let's dive into how one $300 project has now led to over 350 professional builds.
So I would love to hear a little bit, just kind of briefly, about low code agency. And then we'll kind of step even further back from what you're doing now to how it started. So
cool. Yeah. I got into that, became like the expert in the community forum. Back then, the community was very, very, and
yes.
my job was to answer every single question from everyone in the community.
Yeah.
So twice a day, logged in, answered every single forum, whatever conversation, right? And then eventually, I was like, hey guys, it was like 4 guys, like David, Jason, Jack, Mark. I was like, hey guys, like I'm here every single day. I want to be like a Glide expert. So they made me a Glide expert back then, again, 4 or 5 guys. And they're like, yeah, I mean, you're an expert. And then one of these days, David reaches out and is like, hey, we have this company. They want to use Glide for a unique use case. Can you help them? And I was like, sure. So they put me in touch with a guy, Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
They built like floors and doors on like wood stuff, right? And they had these like production lines. They wanted to basically visualize the 3 different spreadsheets. So they wanted a big TV on top of each production line so that you can see which SKU each production line was working on. Right?
Yeah.
Because ideally they're making, let's say, doors. The excess material can be put into the next production line. So they wanted to run them in parallel instead of storing that and then later on bringing that. So I'm like, I mean, yeah, like you can visualize this data from your Google Sheet in Glide. And this guy was like, we hired an Indian development company. We've been working with them for a year. We have nothing to show. The launch date was Monday. It's my thing. He was like the product owner of this thing. And I was like, I mean, yeah, I think that I think I can build this in Glide. If I understand it correctly, I can build it. Cool. And he was like, how much time will you take? It was a Friday. And I was like, I'll have it ready for you on Monday. I was like, that doesn't make sense. How much are you going to charge? $300. Like,
oh
it
my
was
gosh.
like my first client. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that nothing makes sense. Like Monday, $300 doesn't make sense. You're like, I'm going to pay you out of my pocket.
Right.
I can't put you to the value. I mean, nothing makes sense, right? I didn't even have a Stripe account, so PayPal thing, it was a mess. You were like, I mean, honestly, you look like a nice guy. I don't think you got to pull it off, but let's see what happens. So worked on Saturday, recorded a video, sent that over on Sundays, and like, hey, here's the video, here's the app, check it out. I think it does what you asked from me. We're going to have a call on Monday. So Monday we jump in a call and we're like, dude, this works exactly as we wanted. Oh. We just Googled throughout the company. So this works for everyone right away. Yes. I can't believe that we spent a year there. I'm like, okay, this is the thing that I do. Right. So that's how I started. And then today, 5 years later, we have done over 350 projects. Now we no longer only do Glide. We are like a Glide, Bumble, and Solidify partner. So we use basically 3 different platforms in terms of the front end to build software. We have 40 something people on the team.
Wow.
We have worked with companies such as Coca-Cola, American Express, Zapier, and some big names. Yeah. But in reality, our bread and butter is more SMBs, growing SMBs, like probably all of the Glide experts out there. A lot of entrepreneurs as well on the Bubble side, Bubble of Solidify side, launching their native apps, etc. So yeah, that's like a brief recap of low-code systems.
Okay, that's awesome. So you saw this new thing, like, oh, I want to solve problems. Like I know spreadsheets, like to make it better. Like that was similar to my story with Glide. Like I was using a budgeting tool and they recommended that use Google Sheets. It's like, yeah, I want an app for my budget. Yeah, this is great. And that just opened the floodgates. Brought it into my company that I was at. We made conference and event apps for hundreds of conferences. Yeah, so I totally get that. Now, at that moment when you were like, you kind of opened this door, oh, this glide before COVID, what was life like? Like, were you looking for something new? Was it like, what was kind of like what was life like in that moment before you started moving towards this?
In terms of Glide or in terms of my personal life?
Your personal life. Because that's like a lot of people that I connect with are owners or technicians who they were doing something, they needed to change, and they started this new
Yeah.
thing.
So yeah, I still have it, but back then that was like my main job. I have a solar panel installation company.
Okay.
And actually the first lineup that I built was for myself. Instead of using WhatsApp to whatever, track everything, we're like, okay, I'm going to use this thing. People have to, like our technicians have to fill it, this form. This is a number field. This is text field, reducing the error volume. So I had that back then, but I've always been into technology. Back in the day, I was like super involved with WordPress. Back in the day, I had a blog, right? When I was very young. For, I don't know if you remember, like these PDAs, like Palm Pilots, PDAs. So for BlackBerry. And I was like super into that. I had a blog. And back then there were no blogging platforms. So you had like an HTML site, and every time you create a blog post, you had to update your HTML. I mean, that's a mess. WordPress was being built, I imagine, whatever. And I did actually the first English to Spanish translation for WordPress. I was like 14 or 15, 16. And then I was super involved with that. And then I went to college, kind of lost track of that, finished college, looked back at WordPress, and it was this monster like running half of the internet. I was like, dude, I missed this train. Like the only way I can get into technology, the only way I can get into technology is a way. I'm non-technical. I'm not a software engineer. So I need something no code back then. The word didn't even exist, right? But no code enough for me to be able to do something. And I was like, when I find the next WordPress thing, I'm jumping in and not getting out. And when I found Glide, I was like, this is the thing that I can do.
Yeah.
I'm doing. And that's why I spend so much time at the community forum and became an expert and because I really wanted to be on the tech space. I have the solar panel company. I don't enjoy it, to be honest. It's not my thing, but this login is my thing and I wanted to do it. And that's why I spent so much time.
Yeah, I love that. I also love that you started off by creating value for the community rather than holding it like, oh, I'm just going to do it myself. Like, come to me. Like, you were helping answer questions for end users and others building in the space. And that just shows a level of commitment to the tool, commitment to others, and just character. So like, I love that you were doing that because like that just stands out so much. And like people quickly begin to trust you when you're helping them. So
yeah, you become the expert because back then there was no volume in terms of keyword search, Google, etc. Nobody was looking for Glide. Glide didn't exist, right? So how do you get a client become the expert in the form? Just like Fen today answers every single question, and everybody's like, "Oh, Fen is great." And they reach out to Fen because they see him. So back then, I remember hired Fen. He replaced me as the guy who answered every single post, and I was like, "Who is this guy? Like, why I'm not the one answering every single one? There's another guy answering all these posts." And that's when I was like, "Dude, work with me." But yeah, that's not only how originally we got our first clients, but also that's how you learn.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I see a lot of people building stuff and we interview them like developers, etc. And I'm like, dude, like you built this Glide app, it's fine, but you couldn't do something that you maybe thought you wanted to do. So you need like a workaround. And when you work for a client or when you get an issue that has to be done in this way, it has to be done this way. So you have to learn and figure out how to do that. So the best way to learn is figuring out other people's problems for yours.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so thinking through the clients that you've served, over 350 projects have been like you've done. What would you say are maybe one or two of the consistent threads of kind of things that you solve for or solutions that you create?
So I would say I would place our projects in two buckets in that sense.
Okay.
One would be, and specifically talking about business apps, because we do a lot
Yeah,
of apps, et cetera.
Okay.
So for business apps, basically we're fixing two different problems. One is businesses are growing. They're using spreadsheets. They're using multiple systems and it's not working, or they end up duplicating too much data. So many.
It's wild to think that a PayPal payment on a Sunday night video recording was the spark for an entire agency. Just goes to show that when you focus on solving the problem, rather than overcomplicating the tech, you can move mountains even in a weekend. But the story doesn't stop at Glide Apps. Jesus and his team have evolved far beyond that first weekend fix. In part 2, we're going to talk about how they scaled from that first $300 client over 350 projects and how they've expanded their toolkit to solve even more complex business problems. If you're tired of the duct tape in your own businesses and want to see how these systems can give you your time back, make sure you subscribe. See you in the next one.